Needed to come up with a lot of money. Looked around and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sell all my furniture and then I'm gonna end my lease and live in my car. I went to the richest neighborhood in Arizona, really, and I knocked on doors trying to raise money for this deal. And I was like, I'm not gonna stop until I raise capital. I'm not gonna stop knocking on doors. From 19, buying my first home, to 21, 5 mil under management.
What's up, guys? I'm here with Andrew Dettling. Why don't you tell us how old you are and what you're building?
So I'm 21 years old. I'm trying to build the biggest real estate portfolio in Tempe. I started it a couple years ago. Obviously, started working at DoorDash, working at a gym. From there, what I've been able to do is, slowly build a portfolio year after year. So we're heading on year 3. We got $5 million under management. So going from 19, buying my first home, to 21, 5 mil under management, and looking to wrap the year up at 8 mil under management. So that's the goal for now.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Let's give this a try.
Yeah, man.
It's good. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. Mm.
So talk a little bit more about how this kind of started for you. You're, only 22 with this 21. Under management. 21?
Yeah.
Wait.
I'm 21.
Way. No way, man.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't even listening, I guess. That's crazy. Wow. So 21 with, that much under management. Tell us a bit how that kind of started. Like, why real estate? How did you get your first, investment? How did you get your first property under contract?
Yeah. So essentially, to break it down, it's obviously an industry with so much barrier to entry. Literally everybody wants to get into real estate. It's a sexy thing. You say, oh, I'm in real estate management or real estate investing. It's a cool thing to do. And the reason why that is because the barrier to entry is so high. So I started, the story goes back a long, long time ago. I actually started at 16 years old working for a Section 8 cleanup crew. And so I went in, basically totally revamped Section 8 houses. So these crackheads would come in, live at the Section 8 house. They would, break shit. They would tear shit up. And what I did is I just cleaned up the aftermath of that. And so what was good is at a young age, way too many people see the real estate guy on a yacht or the real estate guy that has a garage full of crazy cars and the mansion on the water. And they see all the good sides of real estate. They hear about passive income. But I think my intro to real estate was it was a very great one because I saw the complete inverse of that. I saw the worst part of real estate.
Yeah, I actually did the same thing at 16. I was working in Section 8, turning units.
Yep, so
Yeah, man.
So, when I first started out, all I did was just clean up, and I got to know the owner of the entire company, who owns hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate in Akron, Ohio. And I
forgot if I told you I was in Akron, Ohio, turning units. I'm from Cali, but was out there just doing that. That's crazy. We were in the same
it's
same
wild.
Place, probably 1 year apart.
I know, that's insane. And so essentially, Akron, Ohio, I kind of understood his game. I understood what he was doing. I understood that, after being taught, of course. In my mind, I didn't have a business mind. I was pretty much like everybody else my age. All I cared about was sports and this and that.
Yeah.
But he really gave me a great look into the reality of the industry. And the reality is there's no room for you in the industry if you can't provide value. And so way too many people are just trying to come up with money, buy some houses, and then retire. And my intro was, hey, you need to be somebody worth working with. And if you're not somebody worth working with, there's no room for you in the deal. And so instantly I knew, okay, well, I need to learn as much as I can from this guy because I don't have money. I don't have a track record. I don't have any sort of skill that, would be useful in a big deal or a single family house deal.
Yeah.
So knowledge is free, most knowledge is free. And most most things you can learn on the internet is completely free about this industry, and so that's what I did. And I
Sort of just learning independently to kind of impress him when you would talk to him.
so I did that, but then he taught me a lot. He taught me everything. So
I feel like being a young person that's actually caring about learning this stuff is a really good way to stand out for a lot of people. I mean, like actually taking their advice and then showing them that you went and did something with it is a way that people would want to mentor you. And it sounds simple and like not that, like hard to think of.
Yeah.
But 50% of the time, if you just do that, it's going to help you out a lot.
Exactly. And so all they want to see is the work that they're putting into you as a mentor, it's paying off.
Exactly.
And so I did just that. Every single time I sat down and talked with him, I would show him that I care about what he's saying. It's not just words that he's giving me. One guy I know here, I think he's the president. He's the president of the Arizona Real Estate Professional Association in Scottsdale. He said something, I won't forget, like being a time vampire. You don't want to be a time vampire, which means you just suck all the time out of someone and don't do anything with it.
Exactly.
And so,
showing them the progress every time you meet with them is the best way to retain a mentor.
Exactly. And I think, getting a mentor and retaining a mentor is some of the most important things you can do when it comes to success in this industry. So, when I was starting out, I always wondered, well, what can I do to set me ahead in this industry? What can I do to set myself up for success in this industry? The number one step that everybody could take is learn as much as you can about the industry. So when you talk to a potential mentor, you don't sound like a complete idiot. And then when you get that mentor, because there are successful guys out there trying to help people all the time. And so, you'll be able to find a mentor, even if it's outside your life, inside your life, it doesn't matter. If you find a mentor and if you put the work in, just like they're putting the work in, it's a two-sided relationship.
Yeah.
That will, obviously, like you said, retain them. And so that's something everybody can do today to get them to that next step in the industry.
Yeah. So, you have this first role, turning units or doing renovations in Akron, Ohio. You come to Arizona State. How did you get into your first deal out in Arizona?
That's a great question.
Starting your first company.
And that's a question that I'm asked about a lot.
Well, actually, let's go back on that. This wasn't your first company. Before we get into that, talk about your actual first company when you were in high school.
Yeah. So my first company,
yeah, that's right.
My OG company was a clothing brand. And that clothing brand, it did very well, actually. And, we had a lot of great stuff. It was a girl clothing brand that partnered with charities. So because, we got sponsored by charities, the charities would invest in us.
Yeah.
And we would obviously give them a return based on their investment. So,
and I mean, one thing I'm thinking right here is, what the hell did you have to do with women's mental health?
Right.
Like, how did you, did you come up with the idea? Did you decide to walk in on this?
That's a good,
How did that
That's a good question.
Happen?
So there were these girls, very creative girls, very big on social media, and just great girls, but they had no idea what they were doing. And so,
in what way?
They didn't know how to set up an LLC for the first, as an example, they didn't even know where to go from there.
Yeah.
They didn't know what all the forms were. They just thought, you make a design, put it on a t-shirt, sell it.
They didn't have any image of or idea of scaling it.
Scaling
either,
business,
the process
no
place.
idea. So I kind of broke it down, and I was like, obviously I'm not an expert, but I can sit here and say, hey, all right, what you need to do is you need to come up with a plan. You need to come up with a target audience, because their audience was all over the place. Their plan was all over the place. And I'm like, all right, hone it all in. And let's be great at women's clothing. And let's be great at giving to charities. Mm-hmm. We don't need to do, all these crazy stuff that you have ideas of. If we scale to a certain point, maybe we could slowly implement them. But we can't hit the ground running with 1,000 ideas, and all the ideas are all right at best.
And it's spreading out your like focus.
Right.
That's all these different
So
non-revenue generating like.
It was going very well, and then turns out, it took a turn, because there were disagreements within the business that obviously the girls didn't really like the direction we were going.
So how did you get involved to begin with? So these girls already have this company. How did you?
Well, this one girl
get
asked me
into it. She asked you.
She asked me. She knew that I was, business minded.
Did you have a business before this, or?
I didn't have a business before this, but
You were like trading in class.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I was trading in class, which I hate saying because all the so-called,
Day traders,
gurus,
they kind of
day
stepped into it
traders,
now, yeah, I mean-
all that culture I hate so much.
Yeah.
But, and it's funny because I was doing what they're doing now. I was doing that at 16, and I
Yeah.
had graduated to real estate, which is like day trading for big boys. But no disrespect to the successful day traders. You guys are killing it. But I would say I did that. I had some knowledge on pretty much what people want, what people don't want. I just had a business mind, and it takes a special person. I'll get into that later, but it takes a special person to start a business, but also to carry that out and execute on all their ideas, despite adversity, despite probably running negative, getting crushed.
So when you kind of came in, when did they decide to give you equity, and what kind of deal did you make with deliverables?
So I had a completely equal equity split. It
Really?
was
They just brought you in like that. Like how
a fourth
mature of a
partner.
company was it? when
It
you
was not
stepped in?
mature at all. I built
Like
it.
how long were they building it for before you
2
stepped
weeks.
in? Oh, okay.
It was nothing. It was nothing before.
Got it.
They had
So
ideas.
they were very early on, just had some ideas. You
They had-
came in,
yeah.
gave structure. What was your title?
I would say it's funny because it wasn't very official. We were
Okay.
just people that started a business that
Got you.
decided. So
You're all just co-founders.
pretty much
Got it.
all just co-founders and
trying to figure out who's going to do what. and
yeah.
then-
And if anything,
Did you write up the contracts for it?
yeah, I wrote
Okay.
up. I wrote
How'd you
up
know how
all
to do that at 16?
Honestly, I just understood, the principles of a contract. You need
How? I mean, if you're 16 years old. Like,
Yeah, I just looked it up. I just said,
Googled
all
it?
right, what?
I mean, it's easier now for me with like ChatGPT.
Right.
When I started,
They
in
could
business, it
write-
was like,
yeah.
They can give me at least a guidance of what a contract looks like,
Right.
etc. But
Right.
how did you kind of?
My contracts were really, really bad, to be honest. But all I really knew is if me and you agree on something, it could really be anything. The contract could be 2 sentences long with both of our signatures, with what you'll do in exchange for what I'll give you.
Yeah.
And so with a date and a timeline, and so. And you'll see this as kind of a repeating, very frequent, just kind of thing that I do. I just jump into it and figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, I did jump into it and just figured it out. And you can't have experience without doing something like that. So I figured
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in, and I did it. We were operating, we grew it, we scaled it, and then we sold it. And so once we sold
How
it,
did you make that exit?
it was a bigger company. It was a bigger company that bought us out.
Did you make contact with them? They made contact with you.
We made contact with them, and
Was
initially
it as asking for your go on?
we wanted to collaborate with them.
Got it.
And we had a lot of demands. They had a lot of demands, and we had an audience that they hadn't reached yet.
Okay.
And we were, not doing well as a company. There was a lot of friction. And so they gave us an offer, and we knew that we could, if we stuck in it for a little bit longer, we could make more money.
Yeah.
But I think it was a wise business decision to kind of know the trajectory of where we're going.
Yeah.
And
Understand it was like a good time to just take the exit.
yep. And
Move
so we
on.
took the exit, made a couple bucks. And so, yeah, from there, that's when,
How much did you profit on that, if you don't mind me asking?
not a lot. I mean, nothing crazy. In my mind at the time, it was more money than ever. It was like 10 grand. It was nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
It was nothing because we paid off a lot. Maybe it was 15, a little bit over like 15 grand.
How old were you when you actually exited that?
I was
17 or still 16?
I was 18.
18.
I
Okay.
did just turned 18.
I mean, for 18, I would be pretty stoked.
Oh yeah, so stoked. And I was 18. I had just turned 18, and to be honest, I'm not even sure if what I did was legal because I was a minor. In charge of
really?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's pretty funny.
So, but I was 18. I just had gotten a paycheck, but I knew, I wanted to start a business. I knew that I wanted to run a business, and I knew. What do I know most about? And I knew most about real estate. Real estate was my thing. And then I quickly realized, well, this is one of the hardest markets to get in. Everything's so expensive. Everything's so competitive.
Phoenix,
Phoenix,
just real
Tempe.
estate in general.
Tempe.
Got it.
Yeah. I'd say real estate in general.
Got
You
it.
want to get into real estate at all, it's going to be tough. But if you want to get into real estate in a hot market, I can get into real estate in Akron, Ohio. And figure it out from there.
Yeah.
But Phoenix, Tempe, that's a tough market. There are people getting squashed like a bug every single day. There are people taking other things from this guy, and this guy's outbidding this guy. And
So what did you do differently when you broke into the market that you think helped you not deal with that? I mean, overcome that, I should say. Yeah.
I would say it was very complicated when I did it, very simple when I break it down now. It was literally just grit. And by that, I mean, I was sitting in my 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment.
Wait, you gotta slow down a bit. So you're at ASU.
Yeah.
How did you get this first house to begin with?
Yeah.
through
So
that.
essentially, I was, sitting in my apartment,
Yeah.
an apartment I barely could afford. I was making very little money. I was driving a car that was falling apart. I was doing DoorDash at night. During the day, I was working at a gym, and I was a full-time student. And so I saved up a lot when I moved from Ohio to Arizona, but I quickly realized I didn't save up enough, and I wasn't making enough. So all the money I'd saved up was quickly dwindling.
Yeah.
So how I got that first house. So essentially, I would say my starting point, the day I decided, I was 18 years old, and I decided to kind of, obviously, like I said, understand everything about that market. I knew that if I beat my competitors with knowledge, I had a chance of winning. And so I learned as much as I possibly could. There wouldn't be a house that sells without me knowing. There wouldn't be, a new development project or a bill that passes without me knowing in the market. And so
how are you keeping up with that?
just research, just looking at tempe.gov, seeing what's new. I would be on Zillow. I would be on Redfin. I would literally have my notifications turned on for the entire city of Tempe, any sold home.
just to get a feel for prices that people are paying.
Yep, I would look at my phone and I would
people are
have
buying.
16 notifications, 16 new houses sold.
Okay.
All right, and then I would sit down, look at all the prices. Why did they sell for this? What are the outliers? And why did the outliers sell for very much higher or very much lower than the median? And
So your first kind of house you find that you're like, I'm going to buy this, you kind of, how did you go about, funding that? There's a seller's financing, whatever, but did you run through approaching that without any money, really?
Yeah,
you had
of course.
the 10K from that, but you had, like you said, a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, well, the 10K was part of what I saved up, and
By the way, shake the drink.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Was it shut?
I'm curious, how many calories are in one of these?
60.
60 calories?
Yeah. The
Really?
main calorie content is just from the honey because we use real honey.
Oh my God, 60 calories.
Yeah.
So you're beating with taste, you're beating with calories. That's
5 ingredients in it. So people that don't like processed
Health.
stuff, yeah, I mean,
dude.
there's
Yeah.
for the sweetness that you taste in it, we only use natural honey. I hate
60
that
calories.
fucking fake sugar. And
This tastes amazing. I would
you.
drink this just regularly.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But anyway, so I'll kind of break down like my first steps. Like I said,
You know the story I'm trying to get out of you, right?
of course, yeah, of course.
All right, yeah.
So essentially, what I did was I went through all my options. I was on the phone every single day, every single morning. I was on so many phone calls with every single agent in Tempe trying to get a seller finance deal with a very, very, very high LTV, sky high.
How high?
90%, 95, 98%. And obviously, you know, at the time I thought I could get away with that. You can't. No one can.
So yeah, for people that don't know what seller's financing is, you want to just give a quick like.
Yeah, for sure. I'm buying a house from Logan, and Logan has full equity in the house, and I don't have a whole lot of money. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to Logan, and I'm going to say, hey, Logan, why don't you essentially sell me the house? I'm going to give you a down payment, and I'll make monthly payments to you. And so essentially it's almost like renting, but you know, I have the deed, I have the title, and well, you have the deed, I have the title.
Yeah, you're in debt to the seller.
Yeah, so I essentially am getting a loan on equity from Logan. And so say I refinance or I pay you off, then I own it free and clear. Or the mortgage company takes on that debt. So it's a good way for people that can't get qualified for their mortgage to get in their first deal.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough to do though, because you got to find someone that's down to just make that agreement with a kid, with an 18-year-old.
Right, exactly.
It's very risky. So.
And it's like I'm a kid with no money, no skills. I'm working DoorDash and working at a gym. It's like no one's going to do that. So I realized very quickly that I got to figure something out. You know, I need capital. And so what I did is I went out and I went to the richest neighborhood in Paradise Valley, in Arizona, really. And I knocked on doors. Every single day I knocked on door after door after door after door, trying to raise money for this deal. So
walk us through like, you know, how that kind of played out.
So I knock on your door.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, my name's Andrew, and the door slams. So that's how it first kind of went.
Sell me
Boom.
something. Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. So next door, kind of, you know, I knock on your door. You open the door. Hi, I only want to take 2 seconds of your time. Slams again. And I'm like, all right, I gotta, you know. So after a couple more, you know, door slams, I got people telling me to leave and never come back. You know, that's fair enough. I don't like door-to-door salesmen. Nobody does. But I would knock on doors and just kind of give them the pitch and be like, hey, I found an opportunity in Tempe. I need this amount of capital, and I'm using this debt service coverage ratio loan. It's a very specific type of loan. I'll get into that later. And I'm going to leverage this property. I'm going to fill it with tenants that are higher paying than the average tenants. And then after year 2, I'm going to do this, and this to the property, and it's going to appraise at this, and it'll appreciate to this. So it was just kind of my pitch. And so it got better every single time, which, you know, and there are way too many people that think they have got no course of action. Go out and knock some doors.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, knocking doors, I did door-to-door sales in high school, but I couldn't imagine knocking just for my company without even having any assets under management, nothing.
Right,
saying,
I had nothing.
Hi, I'm just a guy trying to make it happen.
Literally.
Money.
And so people would ask me.
So awesome, man.
People would ask me, oh, okay, like, what deals have you done? Like, have you done this before?
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, never done a deal. I've never done a deal. And so it takes a special kind of person to knock on doors, and it also takes a special kind of person to invest in deals like that.
And you're getting the right investor out of that, I mean.
Right, exactly.
The guy that's going to appreciate that and just give a kid money to see what he can do is exactly who you want.
Exactly. So, you know, weeks go by. Weeks. And this is the desert heat. I'm knocking on doors. I'm just like, shoot, you know, I'm still doing DoorDash at night. I'm doing the gym in the morning, class.
And it's probably pretty demoralizing just having people treat you like a psycho.
All day. And so, you know, my mindset was, well, I could be working at the gym right now and I could be making my wage right now. I could be making money and I'm technically losing money by doing this. And so I think that thought process that I had, a lot of people have very similar thought processes. Like, hey, by pursuing this opportunity that won't make me money right now, I'm technically wasting money.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm technically wasting money because I'm not working at my wage job. I'm not taking the safe instant paycheck. And so if you want to do anything crazy, you have to take that sacrifice of not making that money and, pursue those opportunities. Anyway, I'm, knocking on doors, and I find one guy, a big corner lot, probably the biggest house I've ever seen, knocked on his door, little old man, biggest smile on his face. He opens the door. And I'm like, by this time, my pitch was way better. I'm like, gorgeous house, I love the Porsche Caymans, like beautiful car. It's right outside, talking to him, And I'm like, hey, I've got an opportunity in Tempe. It's this. And so he just sits there and smiles and he's like, wow. He's like, how long have you been doing this?
Yeah.
Knocking on doors. And I'm like, well, it's been about 2 weeks, sir. And he's like, well, that's awesome. How much money have you raised? And I'm like, well, none yet. But I told him, statistically, if I'm out there, like, I'm going to raise money. Like, statistically. I eventually,
Yeah.
And so he thought that
How much
was...
were you asking for on the door?
All I needed was like $30K.
$30K? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so he loved it. And I was like, I'm not going to stop until I raise capital. I'm not going to stop knocking on doors.
Yeah.
And he was like, you remind me of me, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. He's like, come in. So I walk into this beautiful house, and I'm pretty nervous because I'm like, shit, I've never gotten this far. Sitting in this beautiful living room, and he's like asking me about myself, asking me about the deal, asking me, kind of testing my knowledge.
Yeah.
And bam, 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 I knew everything. I'm like, dude, ask me as many questions as possible, and I will answer every single one of them.
Yeah.
I know the last 10 houses sold. Literally the last 10 houses that just sold, I know. And so he loved it. And, he said his smile turned into a very, very, very serious face. And he was like, I'm going to invest in you, but you better work your ass off because you're getting an opportunity that most people will never get ever in their lives.
Yeah.
And I was like, I understand. Like, I will do whatever it takes. And so I walked out of there. He talked to a couple buddies while golfing. They kind of threw in some, to them, nothing. They just kind of pitched in. To me, it was more money than that I've ever seen in my bank account ever.
How much was it?
It was like $32,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 18?
Just turned 19.
Got it.
So it had been my birthday a couple weeks previous. So I just turned 19. And I was off. I had the capital to fund it. I made the deal happen. It's a pretty short story because the deal went so well. And right after, I was like, I'm the man. There's nothing that can stop me. I can, I'm going to be the next big time real estate millionaire. I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy so many houses and it's going to be so easy because my first deal was easy.
Yeah.
And man, I got humbled. My second deal. Basically going into it, I had funded way more. So to kind of give you context, this first deal went so well. I was supposed to make a good amount of money off of it, but I took every dime that I was supposed to make and kicked it back to investors. Yeah. So when my speculative investment sheet said you're going to be making this, well, they were making this.
Yeah, you gave them all of it just to
all of it.
Make sure you had your investors happy.
Yep.
More money in the future.
Yep. And so I'm like, well, you know what your return was supposed to be? Well, you're making probably 50% more than what your return is supposed to be. I cut out every dime that I made. So I was working for free on that house.
Yeah.
My investors were pretty happy. And so I learned from them. I learned from the first deal more than any class could ever teach, more than anything. I learned the most from just doing the deal. There's no class that could teach you or prepare you for your first deal. There's none, because it's more of an internal thing.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't realize you can just go out and do shit like that. Like, you don't need to wait for the degree and everything. You can just kind of make things happen if you're ambitious enough.
Right.
And you ask enough people.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
Because
like
the majority of the people are going to say no. And like you said, it's the biggest house you ask, the wealthiest guy.
Right.
That's most interested to give you a shot. Because they understand that same level of ambition because they've had it before.
Exactly. And so they wouldn't be in that nice of a house if they didn't have the same mindset as I did.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people will tell you not to do something like that because A, they've never done it themselves. B, they're scared that you're going to do it and that you're going to succeed.
I hear a lot of people talk about that, and I feel like that could be the case for some people, but I feel like it's mostly the first one, and they're kind of, they just never have done it because they so strongly believe it can't be done.
Yeah, that is true.
And when you prove them wrong, it makes them, feel like a fucking dumbass. Or,
yeah, exactly. And they don't like that. You
Yeah.
know? There are a lot of people.
They like to believe they weren't able to do it either because it's impossible.
Yeah. And that's how it goes. Like, everybody is almost rooting against you. You know, all the people that I thought that were rooting for me didn't root for me as much when I started doing well. And I've seen it firsthand. Like, there are a lot of people that are rooting for me to fail miserably. A lot of people. I'd say...
I hear that a lot too. I mean, I haven't seen success yet, but I've had a lot of support so far, and it makes me wonder why that, because I hear everyone that does well say that.
Oh, yeah. And the reason why that is because, you just kind of remind them of what they could be if they got off their ass and started working. And so you always hear people above you will never root against you, and they'll never give you shit. And that's true. Everybody, you can tell where people are at based off of how they interact with you. If I sit there and talk to somebody and they're, they're genuinely wanting me to succeed, I can tell that they're kind of on the same level.
Yeah.
But there are way too many people that put on a supporting face, but deep down I know for a fact they want me to fail miserably. And it's a lot of people because, like I said, I remind them of what they could be if they got off the couch and they worked their ass off. And they don't like that reminder.
That I think about a lot, even recently, is coming back here. I've had an overwhelming amount of support from people, and I'm really grateful for that. But when I came back here, there was a few people that would kind of give me that, like, oh, how's that, beverage company going? Some like weird attitude about it. And it kind of makes me smile because it's always the people that matter, like, the people that are doing the least, that are like the least valuable of a connection. That sounds a little mean.
It's true.
Yeah. It's like the person doing the least is going to not understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
And think it's like, corny or something. And I'm like, if you think it's lame that I'm starting a business, like, let's not be friends. Like, that's
exactly.
That's a great idea. I'm fully supportive of that.
It is. And it's like, I understood really, really, really early.
That doesn't bother me to not have that person in my life.
Exactly.
Like sounds like I'm kind of winning in that deal right there. So
yeah, and it's like when I bought my first house, there was overwhelming support. Everyone was celebrating. And then when I started failing right after my first deal, going back into that, my account wasn't built for the incoming wire that I had received, and that was on hold while I was under contract. So you have to move. A lot of things got held up. Everybody got held up. The mortgage company, insurance company, everything got held up. And so I was getting towards the end of this deal, and I owed money, earnest money, that I needed once the Binzer was open. I was getting cure notices. I could have been sued. I could have lost my first house, the down payment that I had just raised for this deal, and the whole deal. So I would have been bankrupt. I would have had to move back home. I would have had to live in Ohio and pay off all that debt. And, to make matters worse, I needed to come up with a lot of money. And so what I did was I was living month to month at my apartment at the time. I looked around and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sell all my furniture. That will make me some money. And then I'm going to end my lease and live in my car. So I lived in my car, still worked at the gym, still did DoorDash. So it's funny, me and my buddies were joking that I could work from home while doing DoorDash, which was funny. That's cool. So I technically was working from home half the time. And so I would take showers at the gym. I would fill up these big jugs of water at the gym. And, I was still a student. So I was a student in class knowing I'm going back to my car and that's it, and then
were you able to sleep at your houses you owned?
Yeah,
or
so
other tenants at the time?
So it wasn't a good idea because my first house that I closed on, I was doing construction on it. So it was a construction site. And so half the exterior wall was missing. It was just a tarp. There was nothing. It didn't have water. It didn't have power. And so, there was one day that I was driving. And so I had just collected all the rents in cash. And so that was their final payment. And they were moving up for the summer.
You said you were doing construction on it, though?
Yeah. So I started construction right around when they moved out.
Okay.
So we started ripping everything out. And so I had received the final payments for it and then we started construction. And so I had all the cash in my car. I was driving my car, a week later after, living in the car.
Yeah.
And so I got into a terrible accident. And so essentially, first off, I lost a lot of cash because the cash flew out of the car.
Seriously?
I hit the side barrier on a highway. I could have sworn I would have flown over it. God was watching out for me.
Wow.
I went up and then I came back down, and cash flew everywhere. And
How much cash did you have in your car?
I had like $4,000.
Why?
Because that was just cash I had collected from rents.
And it was that was money to return to investors? Because why not use that for your rent?
Because that was all money that I owed. I owed to the deal.
Okay.
Because the deals suck money out.
Yeah.
Every day it's more and more money. And if you don't pay one guy, the entire deal doesn't go through. If I was $800 short when closing on a deal, the deal wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So, and another thing, that was money that I was living off of too. So that was money that needed to go into the deal that I needed to also return some to investors.